A smart object is a layer type that preserves its pixel content. Any layer can be transformed into a smart object, no matter its type. To do that, you right-click on it in the Layers panel and you select Convert to Smart Object. Now Photoshop will remember all its characteristics and it will hold all those pixels. This means you can shrink it to 10%, then enlarge it to 100% and it keeps its quality. It doesn't get pixelated. If we do the same with a rasterized layer, so a layer where Photoshop isn't instructed to keep all the content, here's what happens. You shrink it to 10% and press Enter. Then you use Ctrl-T again, but notice this time you don't have 10% in its size, instead you have 100%. That's because Photoshop doesn't remember those pixels, it just discards them. So now we'll put in 1000% to achieve the same initial size. Look what happens, it's very pixelated. Let's try this again side by side. One is a smart object and you can tell that from its icon here. And the other one is a rasterized layer, and you know that because it doesn't have any icon in its thumbnail. Select them both and use Ctrl-T to shrink them. Now Ctrl-T to enlarge them roughly to about the same size they initially were. As you clearly see, the smart object looks fine because Photoshop kept those pixels. While in the other case, Photoshop had to make up some pixels, it had to create them based on its upscaling engine, and obviously that's not as good. Again, please remember that any layer can be converted into a smart object. It doesn't matter what size it is, how it looks, or anything like that. For example, I can rasterize this shrunken smart object, meaning I'll let Photoshop know that it can discard those extra pixels. Now I can convert it back to a smart object, but see, it won't get those pixels back that it just discarded. No, instead it will remember these ones. So this is now the 100% state. Remember that initially this was way bigger. When you convert a layer to a smart object, you lock into places those pixels that are currently there. Photoshop can't magically get back those pixels you threw away when you rasterized the layer. So now the logical question: why would you ever rasterize your layers? If it's much better to keep your graphics as smart objects, why would anyone do that? Simple, it enlarges your PSD file a lot and it drags down performance. Meaning instead of having a 10 megabyte PSD file, you'll have a 100 megabyte project. More than that and your PC might move slower, and that's the major reason for rasterizing layers. A third reason is this: if you have very high quality graphics, either custom graphics or stock photos, you may not want to leave them at their super high definition state. You may want to send them at their size used in the PSD. This is so people can't steal from your files and reuse them in other places. Okay, that's it. Have fun.